Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Yankees Mania. It's been quite a while since we last met, but I just decided, again, when we stopped, it was in the middle of the lockout, and I was getting sick and tired of talking about things every single week about, oh, are we going to have a deal next week? Are we not? And I was honestly just getting angry with it because, obviously, as a lot of you guys know, the lockout and all those discussions were not fun to deal with, especially when you were following it by the hour, like myself. So, not fun at all, but we are finally. And also, I just wanted to do a full off-season review because, again, everyone was very emotional after some of these trades, as was myself. And if you just I just came to the conclusion that rather than give emotional decisions, why not just start off a week before the season and then get going again. Twice a week we're going to go. Again, we'll give series previews, all of that good stuff. And today's episode specifically is mostly we're going to be talking about the Yankees offseason. So we're going to go through it, and I got a lot to say about it, so let's get right into it. Again, we can start off with so many things, but I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning of the offseason before the lockout. Okay. Now, well, let's go before that. Let's go to the end of the Yankees 2021 season. We're going to go to October 5th, I believe, at Fenway Park. The Yankees were just embarrassed. They were just embarrassed at Fenway against their arch rivals, okay? Second wild card did not get anywhere near expectations, okay? So, again, your initial belief after that loss, or at least mine or the Yankees fans' belief, is that the Yankees are going to do something big this offseason because they have to. They have to do something big because you can't end a season like that and do absolutely nothing to improve. And again, I'm not saying they didn't improve, but again, you got to make a splash. Or that's what people were anticipating. Okay, I'm just being objective right now. I'm not even giving my opinion yet. I'm just saying that was the general consensus amongst a lot of fans, or at least the old school Yankee fan. That's how you would think. Because George always did not care. All he cared about was winning. Money was not an issue. Now, I'm not going to be the guy who says the Steinbrenners are cheap because I don't think that's fair. You're the third highest payroll in baseball, okay? That's pretty great. And then you have teams like the Dodgers at 1, and I believe the Mets are now 2. They've jumped the Yankees, so what a turn of events over the last few years. But I'm just, okay, I don't want to get off track for a little bit. But, so let's just get into the actual moves the Yankees made, okay? So Seager, first of all, that's where it all went wrong for me. That should have been the first indication to Yankee fans that this was not going to be the offseason that you envisioned because he was the perfect fit for the Yankees. Perfect fit for the Yankees. It made almost too much sense. Lefty shortstop, let's put him there, and it'll be history. The next 10 years, of course, Seager's a shortstop. Lefty, short porch made so much sense. I thought it was going to happen, but it didn't happen. He goes to the Rangers, and I was very disappointed, but people were like, oh, we still have Carlos Correa on the board. We still have Freddie Freeman. We got a lot of guys, okay? So that was a consensus amongst a lot of people, and kind of myself, but I'm not going to lie, I was getting a little worried. Now, Correa goes to the Twins, which was a shock, and we'll get to that in a second. But Correa goes to the Twins because it's related to some of the moves the Yankees made, which we'll get to. So Correa goes to the Twins. We'll talk about that. Freddie Freeman, now this was kind of the last hope for the Yankees in terms of making a quote-unquote big splash. I thought it was a possibility, but based on the way the offseason was going, I didn't have my hopes too high. So Freeman goes to the Dodgers, and Olsen goes to the Braves. Another Yankees trade target, Matt Olson. Just Yankees, for whatever reason, couldn't do it, and they didn't want to give up Anthony Volpe. And all I'm going to say is he better be really good, because you're not going to sign Carlos Correa or Corey Seager because of Anthony Volpe, allegedly, or that's what the organization would have you believe. They're going to be in trouble. So Volpe better be good. That's all I'm going to say. Now, hold on, just give me 1 second. I'm getting going a little bit. So, now for the actual moves. Again, the reason why I don't think the Yankees spent a lot this offseason, or according to Hal Steinbrenner, was because of COVID and revenue loss. Which I think, to me, if you ask me my opinion on that, personally, that's complete bullshit, okay? The amount of revenue the Yankees are producing as opposed to some other years over the last decade, it's unbelievable. So I don't want to hear, I mean, I hate to be cliche, but I don't want to hear this billionaire telling me how, boo-hoo, we lost a few $1 million. because of COVID. Okay, I tried to stop Steve Cohen. You see Steve Cohen getting stopped because he's not. So I don't want to hear that BS. And listen, I'm not saying Hal needs to spend on a $400 million payroll or $300 million payroll. He doesn't have to. But don't try and pretend that you're the same old Yankees, evil empire Yankees, because you're not. It's completely not. And I think people have to start realizing that this is not the same New York Yankees. And that's fine, because they're still, from a spending perspective, they're still very high up. So I'm okay with it. The allocation of those funds is a different story, which we'll get to also. So the Yankees make no big moves, which is so shocking to a lot of people after the postseason loss. But let's get to the moves they actually made. Okay, now, I gotta tell you, my initial reaction to this trade, I was shocked, and not in a good way. Okay, I had no reaction that entire night, because it happened rather late, but the Yankees traded Giovanni Urshela and Gary Sanchez for Josh Donaldson, Ben Rortfert, correct me, maybe I got the name wrong, sorry if I did, Rortfert and IKF, we're just going to pronounce it that way. Okay, my initial reaction was, I was absolutely furious. I was completely baffled. I was baffled. Number one, you get Donaldson, who is I mean, he's the guy that's injury prone. I don't care what anyone says, he's injury prone. And one of the biggest problems with the Yankees is, or a lot of people said, was that they weren't quick, they weren't athletic, and I'm not sure if any of you have ever seen Josh Donaldson run to first base, but it's not a pretty sight. It really isn't. Okay, there's better things to look at. So, and I just didn't like the guy. I don't like Josh Donaldson because, I mean, he's been involved. I'm not sure if people remember, but a few years ago when the Yankees had a brawl with the Blue Jays, I believe Severino. This was actually a good brawl. It's something that get talked about, but I think it was when Severino hit. Okay, so Severino hit, or J Crap was pitching for the Jays, and I think he threw behind. Someone clipped Donaldson. I think Severino clipped Donaldson in the first inning. The Yankees were already out of it, I think, at this point of the postseason picture. It was 2016. And Severino, clipped him, and I guess the Jays were pissed, but it obviously wasn't intentional. And then and then J Happ responded by throwing behind Headley, which was ridiculous. And Girardi was tossed, and that was a big thing. And then Severino retaliated by drilling Smoke. First pitch of the second inning, ejected, brawl. Donaldson was in the middle of that, chirping. So, again, it goes back a long way. So I don't like Donaldson, but especially with Garrett Cole. Now we're talking with, Donaldson and Cole have big beef, okay? I don't know why people are minimizing that kind of, but, you can honestly make the case that Josh Donaldson derailed Cole's career, which is another topic this spring training, which we'll get to. The guy's not been the same since the sticky stuff has not been here. I'm just saying how it is. And now this guy's on the team. It's a little weird. That's all I'm saying. Okay, but now for the actual trade. Again, a little bit was emotional because I love Urshela. I know a lot of people shit on Gary, and I get it. He's had a rough few years, but, I've watched this guy play the last 6-7 years. He was my big part of my childhood, okay? This guy was right there. He had some big hits early. He was awesome when he first came in the league. He had some big postseason hits. But I think you can make the case Gary Sanchez is the biggest what-if, honestly, in Yankees history. You can make that case. Seriously. People were calling him Babe Ruth when he first entered the league. Urshela, again, great player. Okay, hold on. Good player. Solid third baseman. But you could have upgraded there, okay? I was just surprised it happened in this scenario, especially with Donaldson, who initially I didn't think was an upgrade, okay? But not emotionally, when you think about it, again, another reason why I had a big problem with the trade was because IKF came back, who was a good addition, no doubt about it. They're a better team with him there. But it was a signal that, oh my God, the Yankees actually aren't going to do anything quote-unquote big this offseason. So that's kind of why my emotions were so angry, because I wasn't even thinking about the trade. Even though it benefited the Yankees, I just thought, holy cow, the Yankees are actually not going to sign anyone, which is crazy. It still boggles my mind. And it was a bad offseason for the record, okay? And the Yankees sealed it, of course, by signing Rizzo, who's, again, a good player, but I much prefer Freddie Freeman over Rizzo, and if you don't, you're out of your fucking mind, okay? I just gotta let you know. You're out of your mind if you say that. And it's all about money, so that's what I'm saying. That's why I was like, holy cow, the Yankees didn't upgrade because they didn't want to spend the money. Sorry, it's true, but whatever. So, good player, happy Rizzo's back, but you would have preferred Freeman. Okay. So, now we're talking about Donaldson at third base, who is 100% an upgrade. Okay, when you look at it, he has big power numbers. He's an upgrade over Urshela, as much as I don't want to admit it. And I do think he does add that edge, which the Yankees do need a little bit. I don't like him, but a lot of other teams don't like him too, which could get your team fired up, which I like. Okay, so from that perspective, I do like it, and I really do think I've watched him play in spring training a little bit. He's been pretty good. Okay, I think he could be a very good player. I might have misjudged the trade from the beginning. But a big part of my problem with the trade was you regressed at catcher. Okay, you could say, okay, maybe you upgraded at third base. Maybe you got Kinder Felifa. And by the way, Yankees are 100% way more balanced than they were last year. No doubt about it. They're way more balanced. I mean, out of spring training last year, the discussion was, Jay Bruce, is he going to win the bench job, or Derek Dietrich? No, there's no issues like that this year. It's either you're going to have a IKF, you got LeMahieu, you got Rizzo, you got a lot of guys in that infield. You got Torres, who, by the way, I think Torres is gonna go off this year. Okay, we'll get to that, but he's gonna have a great year. Great year. Mark it down right now. Gleyber Torres is gonna hit 30+ homers. He's gonna be a star. I just don't know why people give up on him after a year and a half, which is why when I heard his name in trade talks, I was freaking out. But so from that perspective, the Yankees did upgrade, I think, but you regress from catcher, in my opinion. Many would disagree. No one's talking about it, but at least Gary had 30 home runs, and he had a cannon of an arm. So you go from Gary to Higgy and Woodford at catcher, which is, I'm sorry, and I could be wrong, and I'm sure maybe the pitchers will like pitching Higgy more. It's not a, I don't see it as an upgrade. So you upgrade at third, and you upgrade in the infield, and you regress at catcher a little bit, in my opinion. And I could be proven wrong, and maybe I am, but who knows. But on its face, I think they regressed a little bit. So I think the Yankees might have won the trade a little bit. Until I get to the next thing. The Yankees are paying Donaldson $50 million a year? I'm sorry, $25 million a year, $50 million over 2 years. That makes absolutely no sense. You're paying him. You can pay Donaldson $50 million, but you can't open the checkbook for Correa, who, by the way, the Twins cleared Donaldson's salary with the Yankees. So Correa could come in at short and play for them. So the Yankees are the reason why Correa's on the Twins, because they cleared Donaldson's salary. So the Yankees took Donaldson's salary. So you could have used that money to get Correa. No sense. I don't understand that. No one's explained it. I don't get it, and it's not talked about enough. Absolutely mind-boggling. The Yankees cleared the Twins' salary cap. They cleared money for them so they could bring in Correa. Nuts. Completely nuts. And it's not like Correa said no to them. I don't believe. The Yankees, reports were just, we're not interested at all. So, wild. That makes no sense to me. It's a silly, silly thing. But again, overall, but in spring training, and I know you don't want to go off spring training sometimes, but watching, Donaldson has been raking. Judge just looks like a tank. Stanton looks like a tank. Torres has shown that he got his power back in spring training, okay? And I know spring training, but my point is he's showing he has the ability to do it. So he's showing the ability that he's showing that he has the ability to do it, which I think is huge because we didn't really see that last year at all for at least an extended period of time. Whew. So again, it's just, I don't know. And again, our next episode, we're going to give season predictions on what I think we're going to see the Yankees at the end of the season. We're going to go series by series. We're going to give an in-depth look. Today, we're just going over the offseason and spring training storylines. Okay. So, one of the storylines of spring training was Garrett Cole got rocked the other day. Okay. Now, again, first start, people are freaking out already saying, oh my God, he has the same pitcher. Craig Carton was saying, and who I like a lot, Carton was saying on Carton Roberts that, oh, he's done. He's washed because he had one bad spring training start. Ridiculous. Okay, and they're saying his RPM is down. Or his rate, because his spin rate is down on the ball without the sticky stuff. And I don't know if it'll get to that point again, but it might. But again, that was a problem with last season. That was the one trend people saw after the sticky stuff was banned that continued with Cole. Now, that is, of course, it continued into the first spring training start. So that's a bit of a red flag for a lot of people. And it's a little concerning for me. But I think Garrett Cole is a professional. And I refuse to believe that he's going to be some scrub. And if he is, I haven't even, I can't fathom that, okay? If he's a scrub, then he's in for a rough decade in New York. I'll leave it at that. But again, another storyline in New York. Luis Gil has been fantastic for the Yankees, and I think Yankees have good starting pitching depth. A lot of people don't want to talk about it; they deny it for whatever reason. But because again, the Yankees are also linked to Mania, who I'd love, but the Yankees have good starting pitching depth. People don't want to talk about it for whatever reason, but they really do. You got Severino, or you got Cole, Severino, Tyone, who's a good pitcher. I think he's gonna have a good year. He showed a lot of stuff last year. Tyone, Cortez, who was fantastic. Montgomery is a good pitcher. These are good pitchers. And then you have Gill, and then Garcia, who's looked good in spring training. Hopefully he can get back to that 2020 form. At 7, you got a lot of pitching depth. And again, you can never have enough pitching. No doubt about it. But again, something that can be talked about and looked at as we progress in the season. Chapman, again, I'm sorry, it's a big storyline not being talked about enough. What are the Yankees going to do at closer? I give Chapman a little while, okay? I'm going to close with Chapman to begin. If he gets shellacked the first few outings, I'm done. You can't win a division in April, but you can sure as hell lose it. So I start off with Chapman, and after a few games, I go into the whys to go. Now, one thing that I think is interesting, especially in times like today with bullpens, is bullpens are often, it's kind of hit or miss. Like I honestly am of the belief that you should not be spending millions upon millions of dollars in relievers because they have a short span. They have a short lifespan. So you have to mix and match. Like the Yankees last year, Clay Holmes, Joey Rodriguez's, Wandy Peralta, that's how you win. Those are guys you win with, which is why I don't think spending all the money. Again, I'm happy with Chapman. He's had a good Yankees career, but I'm just saying in the future, I don't know if I would break the bank for these relievers. But again, I still think the Yankees have a better than average bullpen on paper going in. Now, again, another storyline that came out today was Brian Cashman. And a lot of Yankee fans are giving him a lot of heat for this, okay? A lot of heat. And personally, I don't agree with the heat because I think he's right with a lot of what he said, and I have no problem with him pointing it out. He's making a matter of fact that the Houston Astros basically stole a World Series, or at least a pennant from the Yankees in 2017. And people were like, oh my God, he's justifying it. He's justifying the Yankees not being in the World Series in 12 years. And sure, it's a little annoying, and maybe he has ulterior motives, which he might. But for me, I just think of it like, yeah, fuck the Astros. They stole a World Series from us. It's not right, and he's just saying a matter of fact. Because I truly do believe the Yankees probably would have won that series if they weren't cheating. And could they win the World Series? Sure they could have. They were hot. They were hot. Look at the Braves last year what happened when they got hot. They won the World Series, okay? And they beat the Dodgers, who was probably a better team than the 2017 Dodgers, I would think, or it's very close. Oh, so that's something to talk about. Now, again, we're going to talk about it, but we're going to talk about all the teams in the AL East in our next episode. The Blue Jays are probably the favorites to win the East right now alongside the Yankees, and they have a hell of a team, and we're going to talk about all of that next episode. But our final storyline that we're going to talk about today is a pretty big storyline, and according to the Yankees, which is a terrible excuse, I don't agree with it. It's a joke. It's Hal and Corp trying to manipulate the media. But it's Hal basically said one of the reasons why that they didn't want to spend money is because they are looking at the possibility of extending Judge. Basically, they're implying they're going to sign Judge before the end of the offseason. Now, they better, because if they don't and they said that shit, then there's going to be a big problem. But I do think Judge gets extended because he's Aaron Judge. He's a freaking awesome player. I think you'll see him being named the captain, honestly. That's my hot take. Maybe it's not so hot of a take, but if he re-signs, he will be named the captain of the New York Yankees. And absolute star. He is a little older, though, so in terms of contracts, how much money you want to give him, I'm thinking maybe 6 for $200. Sounds fair. Let me just do the math on that because could be off with my math, but I think that's around 30-something million a year. 200 divided by 6, you're going to give him 33 a year. That's a fair offer. 200 for 6, I could see it being like 190 to get it down to. 200 for 6 is my guess. Judge probably wants a 7th year. And I think that's probably going to be the big dispute. 200 for 6, 220 for 7, something like that. So, yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else I got to touch upon. Yeah, so Severino also, just one more thing. Severino has been getting a little shellacked in spring training, which a lot of people are concerned about, and that he had some general arm soreness, which his start was pushed back, which is always a red flag, especially a guy like him who's been injured a lot over the last few years. We can only hope that he's going to be just fine. But again, I watched him at IKF also in spring training. Again, good little hitter, balanced hitter. Again, no doubt the Yankees are a more balanced team. They are a better team this year. So I think there's one, if I'm going to leave you guys off with this, there is an important thing to distinguish. Bad offseason does not necessarily mean that you're going to have a bad team, okay? They're still a really good baseball team. They won 92, 93 games last year, and they improved. Okay, they improved. So when you really think about it, they improved pretty significantly. They improved pretty significantly, and there's a lot of guys that had bad years last year, like LeMahieu at 260. He's not going to, come on. He's going to hit better than 260 this year, you would have to imagine. Imagine he gets back to 320, he hit 360 in 2020. Imagine he gets back to 310. 310, Torres gets back to 25-plus home runs. That's a different team. That's like 10 more wins. So we're talking 100-plus wins, possibly. It's a beast of a division, though, which we're going to talk about. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys are all caught up with Yankee spring training. And I will see you guys next time. Probably going to upload before opening day. Before opening day, we'll give you a whole preview, and then we'll go twice a week from there. So I will see you guys next time.